But I have a chevron shawl which I crocheted in this chevron and this yarn. Now this is a yarn I purchased from Wool Warehouse and it's by Rico and it's in the Malabrigo colourway. However, they have discontinued this colourway now, but they have the most gorgeous colourways still available. It is £5.39 for a 50-gram ball, and I used 14 balls of wool to crochet my shawl. Now you may well of course find that too long, as I am actually quite tall, so you choose how long you wish your shawl to be. It's a very simple chevron and I'm going to show you how to make that now. Oh, and they also do this particular yarn in a double crochet or a chunky. So you just need to make sure you use a corresponding hook. And if you want your shawl to be a little bit more drapey, then go up a half size or a full size. Or of course you can use any yarn you wish, as long as you use that corresponding hook. And to work this chevron, we are going to work in multiples of 14 stitches plus 4 stitches. And so as an example, if you wish to do multiples of 6 14s, that will be 84 stitches plus 4 stitches, which is 84. I'm going to be working in a multiple of 3 14s, so that is 42 stitches plus 4, which equals 46 stitches altogether. So you always add the extra 4 stitches after you've worked your multiples of 14. So we're going to start by working into the 4th chain from the hook, and you can work into that top loop if you wish, but I'm going to work into the back loop. I actually think we get a nicer, better finish that way. So yarn over, 4th loop chain from the hook, and we've crocheted our first proper treble. Now the 3 chains at the beginning will count as your first treble, and we've worked our second treble into the 4th chain from the hook, and that will be 2 trebles into 1 stitch, and that counts as a half chevron. So we're now going to work 1 treble into the next 5 stitches. So we have our first half chevron, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trebles. We're now going to work our first downward pointing chevron. That is called, and we are going to work we're going to work 3 trebles together. So we will need to work into the next 3 stitches. So we go yarn over into the first stitch, yarn over, and we just pull our yarn through the first 2 loops and leave 2 loops on our hook. We're now going to go yarn over and work into the 2nd stitch, yarn over, pull yarn through. We have 4 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull that yarn through the first 2 loops on the hook, so we have 3 loops left on our hook. And finally yarn over into the 3rd stitch, bring our yarn through, so we have 5 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, and we have 4 loops on our hook. And so this time we go yarn over and we pull that yarn through all 4 loops on the hook. We're going to carry on and we're going to work 1 treble into the next 5 stitches again. And our 5th treble. So there we have our first downward pointing chevron. Now we're going to create our first upward pointing chevron, and we are going to work 3 trebles into the same stitch. So yarn over, one, two, and 3. And we're going to carry on and we're going to work 1 treble into the next 5 stitches again. I think that's 5. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're now going to work our second downward pointing chevron again. So yarn over and we'll be working into the next 3 stitches. So yarn over, pull our yarn through, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, leave 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull your yarn through the first 2, so you are in effect just working half a treble there. One more time. And then finally yarn over and pull through all 4 loops on the hook. And as you can see our lovely chevron taking place. So we've got our half chevron at the beginning, that's our 2 stitches into the first stitch. And then we've got our downward pointing chevron, an upward pointing chevron, and we've just worked a downward pointing chevron. I'm going to carry on to the rest of the row. So we're going to do another 1 treble into the next 5 stitches. There we go. And so we've just worked 1 treble into 5 stitches. We're going to go yarn over and create our next upward pointing chevron. And so that's 3 trebles into the very same stitch. We're going to work 1 treble into the next 5 stitches. And now we're going to work another downward pointing chevron. So that's 3 trebles together, yarn over, we now work 1 treble into the next 5 stitches. There we go, and then we have 1 stitch left at the end, and we are going to create a half chevron by working 2 stitches into the same stitch. So yarn over, and 2 stitches in the end, and here we have our first row of lovely chevrons. And next will be to work the second row. Now to carry on with our next row, we need to chain 3, turn our work so we can work in the opposite direction. Our first chain 3 there will count as our first treble of the row, and we need to work into that very first stitch there. So a treble, yarn over, into that stitch with the V shape on top, as you can see. Grab your yarn, pull it through, yarn over, through 2 and through 2. So that counts as 2 stitches into the same stitch, 2 trebles into the same stitch, and that is called a half chevron. So next we want to work 1 treble into each of the next 5 stitches. Yarn over into the next stitch, three, 4 and 5. And so now we have reached the first downward chevron which we worked in the first row. We need to go yarn over into that first stitch, yarn over, just pull through the first 2 chains again and leave 2 on your hook, yarn over into the next stitch, 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over into the 3rd stitch, and we have 5 loops on our hook. Pull the yarn through the first 2 loops and then yarn over and pull through all 4. We now need to work into the next 1 treble into the next 5 stitches. Much easier to work in the stitches on your next rows. The foundation row can always be a little bit fiddly. Four and 5. And so now we're going to work the upward pointing chevron, and as you can see, if you look, in the first row we worked 3 into the same stitches, 3 trebles into the same stitch there, and we're going to work into the middle of those 3 trebles, and we're going to work 3 trebles into 1 stitch again. There we go, and so now again it's 1 treble into each of the next 5 stitches. And 5, and again to create the downward chevron we're going to do work 3 trebles in 1. So yarn over into that first stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, leave 2 loops on the hook, yarn over into the second stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, and we have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over and into the 3rd stitch, so we have 5, yarn over, pull through 2, and we have 4 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull that yarn through all 4 loops, and again 1 treble into the next 5 stitches. And we come to the next up pointing chevron, and as you can see we worked 3 trebles into 1 stitch below, and so we're going to work into the middle of those 3 trebles. 3 trebles into 1 stitch. One treble into the next 5 stitches, and then a downward pointing chevron. One treble into the next 5 stitches, and 5, and then our very final half chevron at the end of the row, we worked into the final stitch, and that final stitch is 1, 2, 3. The chain 3 at the beginning you need to work into the top of there. So yarn over, one, 2. So there's your half chevron. So this is row 2 finished, and you carry on each row the same. And I would recommend that when you do your next chain 3 at the beginning of the row, 1, 2, 3, that you put a stitch marker in the top there, so that when you come back the other way, it's much easier to spot that, the top of that stitch. And there we are. So that's the beginning of our 3rd row. We've got a half chevron there, and then we do 1 chevron into the next 5 stitches, and you carry on as we did in the row before, and you will have a beautiful chevron.